Okay, seems that we are finally live, and we're broadcasting live another edition of Dojo Live. We're broadcasting right now from the company's, from Nearsoft's Hermosillo headquarters, and I want to welcome today Dana Ritchie. Dana is, she is a founder of Emotional Rejuvenation and Emotional Enlightenment, and also she's a creator of the Well-Managed Mind program. Today's topic is named A Well-Managed Mind. So these are 3 steps for achieving the next level of joy and happiness in life through a well-managed mind. Okay, so having said this, before we pass on the mic to Dana, I would like to also welcome and thank my fellow co-workers Diego Montes and Jorge Simons, who were kind enough to participate as co-hosts, and they have specific interest and expertise that are going to make this a more dynamic broadcast. And so, having said this, thank you guys, thank you Dana. I'm going to pass on the mic to you, and then let me start by asking you, Dana, directly. Dana, what is a well-managed mind? How did you think of this, and what's behind it?
Okay, Well-Managed Mind is a program that I've been teaching for about 5 years, and it is basically to help people to communicate better, to learn to more about themselves, who they are. And it has a technique that has been developed a few years ago and is based on a Chinese medicine and Western psychology. So what it does, it basically takes us through different points and steps, how we can change patterns in our mind that have been subconsciously stored there and have been storing since the day we have been born. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it certainly does. So, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot to be said about this because, as far as I'm concerned, I have become particularly interested in emotional well-being at the workplace. So that's one of the things that I'm always trying to elicit and to talk about whenever possible. Okay, so having said this, tell us, is there any way, Dana, that you can tell us what is the core teachings of this particular method? When you talk to people, when you teach this method, what do you teach, and how does it work?
Okay, so specifically, and I think particularly, like when I was asked talking about the happiness, I was kind of a little bit confused because for myself, because in my training, the happiness is the ending product of my training. So in a way, what I am teaching is a step-by-step program where we are saying that we have patterns that we have established based on our personality as we are growing up. And you know, some of us are emotional, some of us are shy, some of us are good communicators, and some of us like to be in control, some of us are just like to do things for others. So we all have different personalities. And because of this, basically, we are creating some people call it ego, there are so many names for it, but I like to call it your creation. So there is something that happens when you are born. You're here, you arrived, it's your body, your DNA, your personality. And from now on, you're starting to experience these moments that impact you emotionally. Because when we are newborns, we don't even speak, but we do feel. Like if somebody holds us and then we know that we're being loved, somebody smiles at us, and that's basically something that is our first experience. If we're hungry and we scream as babies, again, we store the experience that is unhappiness or being hungry, and then, you know, we yelled, we screamed. And so what happens with these emotions? Basically, scientifically, they become our memories, and after that, they become our patterns. And the patterns create based on our emotions impact in that particular moment, in that experience, if the emotional impact was high or low. So what happens if now you are grown up, you've been building all these patterns, and then you are helping yourself to basically cope with things, and somebody hurts you, like, Or let's go back to the childhood, like you're in preschool and somebody pushes you and then you fall and then you're hurt and you get maybe upset with that person. Somebody else might get sad. Everybody's emotion is going to be different. And then you're storing this. So next time when somebody is coming towards you and wants to push you, maybe you're going to just respond because your subconscious is immediately sending these messages. So based on your personality, you're creating this your other self. And so what my technique does, it goes based on the Chinese medicine and Western psychology. We go into those patterns and we change them because as we grow up, what happens, they cause us a lot of trouble. So if we are nice and we like to do things for others, so maybe you're doing stuff for others and then you don't get back the appreciation and suddenly you feel hurt about it and you don't know why. Like, why? Like, why am I feeling so upset? So, or you are a go-getter and you just like to, like, things that happen to you, you think, no, I'm moving forward and I'm just going to bury all my emotions. I'm not going to think about it. If I don't think about it, then I can get this done. So that might be a different part of personality. So you might have created completely different patterns than somebody else. So what my technique does, we go to these patterns and we basically clear them. We drop them without revisiting them. That is very important because people don't want to go back and think, okay, I'm too emotional, because we tend to be so critical and we a lot of times have this dialogue in our head, basically like playing all day, saying, oh my God, I'm too emotional, or oh my God, that person pissed me off, or oh my God, what an asshole. Like anything that is negatively emotional to us, it's starting basically to affect us, right? So what we need to do is get rid of it. So the 3 steps that I kind of prepared for you today is the recognize, because it was supposed to be about happiness, and I did really struggle with it. I have to be honest. So the 3 steps that I basically prepared is, like the step 1, you need to recognize the emotion. So the recognizing the emotion is like if you get sad or if you get upset or even happy, like whatever it is, then you recognize it. You know what it is. You know you're feeling sad. You know you're feeling upset. You're feeling happy because you just had a great lunch and it was so yummy. So, you know, anything that is emotionally triggering you, you recognize it. That's step number 1. Step number 2 would be you stop yourself and you breathe. You inhale and think, okay, now you start that dialogue with yourself and saying, okay, why did I get upset? What triggered it? What did this person do to me? And then instead of saying, okay, such an asshole, and being upset with this person, you try to be nice to yourself. So you're not going to start criticizing yourself. You're not going to start saying, oh my God, I screwed up, or oh my God, he screwed up. What you're going to do is you're going to figure out what is the root of this emotion that is triggering you right now. Because that's where all your challenges basically are happening. Those triggers, those emotional triggers that take over, and they are the ones that become stronger and stronger as we get older based on our personality and based on those patterns that we have. So that is step number 2, and step number 3 would be to neutralize this emotion. So once we know what it is, once we know where it's coming from, then we can go and neutralize it. So for example, I don't know, if you are shy and you are very upset with yourself that you're going to be shy, then you stop getting upset yourself. Once we neutralize that emotion, you're going to basically, after that, the step after that is, in my program, is to create the new one. So once you know who you are, based on these 3 steps, then you can start creating you that were born, not what you created based on how you got hurt or happy. So you start creating this new person, and you know, we always say be nice to yourself, be nice to others. I mean, you want to be loved, so love others. Like all these things, obviously gratitude is wonderful. So if you are in a work environment and you are nice to other people, most likely they're going to be nice to you back. And if they are not, then you're going to go through those 3 steps and say, okay, why was this person not nice to me right now? And then you're going to figure out why. Maybe you're giving too much, but the bottom line is that has nothing to do with you. Once you can protect yourself by recognizing what emotion it is that you're dealing with and stopping it and neutralizing it, you're not going to have those feelings. So that is kind of like, I think, a summary of how I would describe it. I can keep talking more, but if you guys want to ask anything, let me know.
Yeah. Actually, yes, and this is, I'd like to say something myself before. I'm sure the guys here have also their good share of comments and questions, but I'm listening to you, and you mentioned, you gave us a very good description of the 3 steps, but this is something that I personally have discovered or experienced in the past. Okay, sometimes you're able to identify negative emotions, and you know at the intellectual level, you know where they are, where they lie from, even sometimes where they come from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but here's the big but here. If for some reason you don't do whatever it takes to fix them or do something internally or internalize them enough, then any piece of knowledge, any piece of education, any piece of whatever preparation you've received in life to excel professionally is going to be completely useless because you're not well attuned emotionally, only intellectually. I mean, you have a problem, you have an issue, you identified it intellectually, but you're for some reason prevented from being able to do something at the innermost level. So okay, so how do you think we can? And this ties into psychotherapy. Okay, I think from my standpoint, I'm just an enthusiast. I'm not an expert, but from my standpoint as an enthusiast would be. Is there any linkage between emotional well-being and psychotherapy? Would you say so? And how does that or can that make us excel in our professions, in our work?
Okay, so that is pretty much when I started. That's an excellent question. When I started talking about neutralizing the emotion, that is where my course come in. And so basically, the course is it works on what we are saying, talking about psychotherapy and stuff like that. It's an emotional well-being. There are so many words for everything these days. So if we make it just very simple and we say, okay, this is your personality and this is your emotions. So we basically when you manage to neutralize those emotions, those patterns are going to change. So the problems you're talking about are going to pretty much melt away. They're going to disappear. And that's where the technique is about. So because how would I say it best? Let's talk about what you're saying more about psychotherapy. Let's talk about conscious and subconscious mind. Like most of you know what it is. Conscious is we're talking about right now, and and your emotional impact right now is either neutrally, you don't care what I'm talking about, or when I'm talking about somebody's making you upset, you might feel that emotion according to somebody else, or you just have a happy emotion because you think I'm learning something. So that's the emotion. So that is what's happening right now. Where on the subconscious level, we have a lot of information stored. It's like a computer. So everything that we have experienced is stored there in the subconscious area. And the subconscious is the one that we call trigger, that triggers constantly because it wants to help you. So when you are talking about stuff, that when you recognize the emotion and talk about it and figure out where it's coming from, then you need to neutralize it. My technique does that. So what it does is basically, like, I don't know if you guys know Chinese medicine has meridian channels, acupressure points. Most of you probably had an acupuncture or went for an acupressure massage. So we are using 4 points in this technique that basically to access, because that's Chinese medicine is all about energy, and we are all energy. So by either tapping, like let's take this point, like everybody knows the third eye. So if you either tap on it or you rub on it, then you are accessing your own energy. When you go for acupuncture, they're going to stab you with needles somewhere to get your energy flow going. So that's one thing. Then we're going to go Western psychology, the self-talk you were talking about, that you figure out your emotion, and we're going to take 4 steps where we're going to basically change the pattern, where we're going to say, okay, I'm letting this emotion go, and the whatever is there with it, I'm throwing it out. And that is what my technique is about. I mean, I can maybe can I draw? Is that okay?
Sure, yeah, you can do pretty much whatever you feel necessary.
Okay, so basically, I can describe it. Can you guys see it here?
Yes.
Okay, so basically you are born right here, okay? You start living and moments that impact you emotionally. So this emotion is going to be impacted either neutrally, that you're not going to care, it's going to get stored in a subconscious mind, and you might not even think about it for another 10 years. Or it's going to have a positive impact on you, that you're going to be happy, you're going to be cheerful, you're going to have joy, somebody's holding you, somebody's loving you, it's perfect. Or it's going to have negative impact on you, that somebody who is making you upset, or something that you're creating in your personality that you suddenly are doing and it's not working out, like responding to others, or being shy, or not being able to communicate. And this is the one that gives you more trouble. That's where all my clients come from. So basically, they cannot talk well with somebody else. They don't have good communication skills. They're just suddenly what you start doing is you start adding, this is your creation. You creating this. So you creating yourself based on your life experiences, because the moment and emotion, so moment and emotion is your experience, okay, that will become your memory and your pattern. So these experiences, if they are negative, you start building on them because your computer subconscious mind keeps sending them to you. So again, you have to go in and neutralize everything, throw it away. So that's what my technique does. So my technique looks like this. We are using the Chinese medicine, and there are only 4 points. I originally started with more, but they were not really needed. So we're using this point, which is a third eye, which we can tap on, and I always call it knock, knock, home. And if we have time, we can do a quick session, and I can walk you through it so you guys can do it. So here you knock, and you say, I believe I can fix it, I trust I can fix it. And you are accessing your subconscious mind right here. There is your second point. In Egyptian, this is a wisdom point. You know, all the Egyptian Sphinx. So this is the point where you can vent. If you, as Carlos was saying, like, I know what my issues is, you can just be negative here, it's okay. And then we go to the collarbone in here, which is a third point, I like to call it a bowl, and we dump everything there. And this is what I'm talking about, reliving stuff. So if it's something negative, where you have a struggle with a parent, or you have a bad relationship with somebody, brother, sister, friend, or something that is not going well for you, this is where you dump it. You don't need to relive it if it's something from past that is just kind of very painful. Here we throw everything away. And here, at the heart, we recreate. So this is a new area where you create your new file, your new experience that will become your new memory. And then it's become your new pattern. So as you are basically changing these, they're becoming stronger and stronger. And those patterns that were there before, when you maybe got pissed off or sad, or somebody at home says something to you, and then you think, you know, you don't appreciate me. So that's when you start changing this. Once you start putting the new patterns in, based on, well, let's say, gratitude, practice, based on how you want to be, how you want to feel, and you don't want those negative emotions. You want to replace them with the positive. So then your computer subconscious mind is going to start changing. So whatever was there is going to start becoming weaker, and the new stuff is going to, it's like a new version of a program. It's going to become stronger and stronger. So that is probably kind of like in a nutshell of how I could describe it.
Okay. Thank you, Dana. I'd like to pause for a couple of seconds to ask either Jorge or, well, let's start with you, Diego, from your
Yes.
standpoint as masters in psychotherapy in Gestalt, right? So,
Yes.
what's your take on what Dana has explained to us today
Hey,
regarding emotions, and emotional well-being from the psychotherapy standpoint?
yeah, actually, I was thinking about this technique, as Dana was saying, this kind of Chinese technique, and I was wondering if this has something to do with neuro-linguistic programming and anchoring techniques, or is it just about like um, as you said, the channels, the energetic channels,
I think
and
yes, I think that this technique is based mostly on Western psychology, which is self-talk, where you walking yourself through when you're starting a dialogue with yourself, plus the Chinese medicine. So it's the energy accessing from the conscious to subconscious mind, and using and reprogramming your old patterns of behavior. So yeah, there's so much out there, but it depends how you look at it. Like a lot of times when I talk with other people that teach different techniques, we realize we're talking about the same thing, just from a
yeah.
different point of view.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. Also, I was wondering, how do you handle this? You know, um, in theory, it sounds pretty easy to identify emotions because you say like, well, maybe I'll be able to say if it's anger, sadness, or whatever the emotion is. But in practice, it comes like a sort of a combination of sadness, and sometimes, in my experience, it's difficult to find. To define exactly which is the emotion we're feeling. Like sadness is often confused with anger, and depending on the person's personality, how do you help people to identify which emotion they're feeling? Like you make some dynamics or
That is an excellent question. So basically, those patterns that we're creating, they are interconnected. So there might be more than one emotion, and it's almost like if you imagine a spider web. So that's how it becomes. So you have to start with the one that is giving you most trouble right now. So if it's a shyness right now, or if it's just maybe you don't have give enough gratitude in life, or you don't think you're optimistic enough. You start with what you think you're struggling right now. Once you clear that, what the subconscious mind does, it's almost like having an overload in the subconscious. So once you move something, it sends you another signal.
yeah.
And suddenly in your conscious, like my clients say, we might be clearing one thing, and then by the end they say, oh, when I was throwing it all away and deleting it, suddenly this and that popped in my head. And so
Okay.
you know that it's related. So it might be related to the emotion. It might be like if it's an issue with a parent, it might be related to the parent. Because, for example, if somebody has a problem with any one of his parents, so there could be sadness, there could be anger, there could be fear, but there could be happiness. It could be all together. So think of it as entangling the web. Like you get rid of whatever you don't like, and then something else will trigger. It's going to pop it in your consciousness. It always does, because the subconscious always sends these triggers. Okay, you are fixing this, so how about this? I remember a client, we were fixing something in her relationship, and suddenly somebody from grade 2 like popped in her head that she didn't even think about for like 30 years or something, and it was there. So then we worked through that. So whatever your mind, your subconscious is giving you, you listen to it. Listening is very important, because you're listening to yourself. You're listening to whatever you created, right? So it's all about you communicating with yourself.
Okay.
Excellent,
Okay.
excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dana, again. Jorge, what about you? What's in your head right now
I
regarding?
think I see things from a more like communication or like how a community or how a company organizes. My background is communications. I'm a communications major, so I'm struggling a bit to follow, but I think it's clear enough that this is for like individual use. Like one person should be I would say, aware of their surroundings and be really like treating emotions like something serious, which takes me to my question, which is basically in the work world or in the companies, we don't take emotions seriously because we always dampen them with professionalism. Like, you should be professional, you should be all serious, you should be always on the spot to like have great ideas, work, and stuff like that. So my only question would be, how can you translate this individual technique to a more community-based approach, so you can tell we don't have the problem at Nearsoft most of the time, because I think our open culture lets us flow more emotionally. But on traditional companies, how can you tell your boss, okay, hang on, I need a second to breathe, and I'm just going to take 10 minutes to think about this, and then I'm going to go back? How can you do that? That's a big question for me. I don't know if my question is okay.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. It's a perfect question, actually. So what happens is the whole program and what I teach, I've been teaching for quite a long time, is that it's you who will make these changes. It's you. And then when you were saying it, I for some reasons was thinking of a bucket of tennis balls. So all of you that are in the company are tennis balls, and they all going to be a little bit different, right? They will have different everything. So basically, as long as you know you're doing the right thing, as long as you know that you're respectful, that you professional, and you are not getting hurt by anybody, then you can deal with whoever's coming at you. What was it that was coming out of your nose? Sorry.
It's an electronic cigarette.
We lost you for about we lost you for about 10 seconds. It's like you were breaking up a little bit, so if you don't mind going back a little.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the bucket tennis ball. So, okay, let's think that you guys are all like a team, like you're in a big pot of tennis, like you are all tennis balls. So you are all different, and as long as you keep the space around yourself, we're all energy. So as long as you preserve your energy, you are happy in your energy, then you're gonna be okay. Because if somebody's coming at you, there is this technique that is really amazing, and it works really well. All my clients just love it, and I can tell you that right now it's a quick one. You can close your eyes or keep them open, and then you imagine that you're shielding yourself all body around, and you're protecting your good energy that is inside of you, and then you can receive through this shield, and it can be like metal, color, any color. It can be like thick, thin, like whatever you want it to be. Some people just say, I just see a curtain or window. Anything's fine. So you protecting yourself with a shield and as a tennis ball in the bucket, and then you basically saying, my good energy is in here, nobody can touch it. And on the outside, whenever somebody's coming with like demands or professional or serious or bad energy, then it's not going to come through the shield. So it cannot touch me. And so what happens with that is that it cannot come through to your shield if it cannot touch you. So basically, you're not going to get affected. You're not going to have that moment that I was talking about with the emotional impact. If you protect yourself, that emotional impact is going to be neutral. So you're not going to get all worked up. You're not going to care. Your mind is not going to go crazy. You're going to be like totally even and be able to respond. If you put that shield on every morning, I tell the clients, you put it on, you feel safe. You have to basically imagine, like visualize that you inside have good energy. You can send it out with whatever, with the gratitude, with joy, with love towards people, with giving, and then you can also receive it. Everybody says giving and receiving has to be balanced. You have to give to receive. Sometimes some people, some personalities give a lot, and then when they don't receive, it hurts them. Some are the other way around. So whatever personality you have, any personality can use the shield. In the morning, put it on like a clothes, just put it over you. If something is starting to get to you, that somebody says something, then you just put a mirror on it. Like you just immediately, my clients say, my wife just started going at me again, and I just pulled my shield over. Anything goes. Whatever it is for you that is going to work, you do it. So once you're protecting yourself, you're going to start noticing that those emotions are not really coming to surface because you neutralizing them with this protecting yourself. And in the evening when you come home, just hose it. Whatever, just visualize all this, you just hose the whole shield. So does that answer your question? Because all those buckets in tennis ball are different, so you cannot control anybody else. You can only basically do what you think is right to think to do, what is good for you to do, and whatever is out there, yes, you need to respond to it, you need to be professional, but you don't need to be emotional about it. And if you can, in that shield, protect yourself and stay neutral with the emotion, then you're going to be able to respond in a much better way. I can promise you that.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, Dana.
Yeah.
I was thinking about something in particular, Dana, that I would like to ask you. Is both the three of us here are kind of open or prone to embracing these set of ideas, this train of thought. Okay. Because because well, it's like a natural thing for us because of the way we are. I'm very interested in that personally. Jorge is, Diego is, but let's say that you're having this conversation with somebody else. Okay, how do you deal with skepticism? Because not everyone is open to accepting that they have an issue. Let me rephrase this or reframe it. Okay. Maybe you are talking to someone, it could be a potential client or it could be a friend or a relative. So you're talking to someone whom you know for sure that that person has something,